RIMECAYS. You can find me on Twitch and YouTube. And simply put, my position is free Palestine from the river to the sea. Thank you.
I'm Quibbles Over Coffee. I'm broadly pro-Israel. I'm not sure if the question was in reference to what America should do or what Israel should do. In terms of what America should do, we should continue to fund the Iron Dome. We should probably try. I mean, I can list a bunch of different things, but I don't want to do that now. And then in terms of what Israel should do, I think they're going to have to do, unfortunately, an occupation of the Gaza Strip.
Hey everyone, I'm Aiden. I run the channel Sucked on Left, and yeah, I'm pretty pro-Palestinian. I think the root cause of the violence here is the occupation. You don't have to support Hamas to say that. The only way that you're going to see a long-term end to this is an end to the occupation. There's a reason that though Israel has bombed Gaza 5 odd times in the past 2 decades, it hasn't worked. The vast majority of those deaths, something like 80%, are not even military-aged men, much less militants, but not even military-aged men. I think this is pretty close to ethnic cleansing. Just one last stat before I go, 1.4 million people have been displaced here. We bombed Serbia for displacing 200,000.
Yeah, my name's Tom. I go by Tom Fuller Show on YouTube and Kick. I don't know that I'm pro one side over the other. Definitely out of all the people here, I'm probably the least educated on this topic, but I'm arrogant enough to show up for a panel anyways, and so I'm here to solve this crisis with you fine people.
So, following the October 7th attack and the subsequent counterattack by Israel, can violence or armed resistance ever be justified as a means of achieving political goals for either side in this ongoing conflict? Let me start with you, Loner. What's your take on this?
Yeah. Yeah. I think Palestinians have a right to use some degree of violence. It's a military occupation. I don't think that means that you're okay to go and kill civilians in a festival in the middle of a field. I much prefer the kind of like Mandela ANC style of going for like sabotage of infrastructure rather than targeting people, because then you don't have to deal with the problem of having to spend like 100 years reconciling for all the pain and death that you've caused, like trying to end the occupation. Israelis, I think they have a right to go after Hamas. I don't know what proportionality looks like exactly, but yeah, they have some right to do something. They can't just sit there and take it.
I largely agree, right? I think, you know, justified is a question of, is a different question of then what should someone do? And I think we should maybe like separate those two things, right? Like, I agree that like attacking infrastructure, government installations, government employees is something that Hamas, maybe not Hamas, because Hamas is kind of like lost most of their rights, justifiably so. But Palestinian organizations that haven't committed terrorist attacks have that right. But it's not a good tactic, right? Like it's a really bad idea. It's not going to help anybody. And if you're a consequentialist in your framework, we can still hear someone else typing. If you're a consequentialist in your framework, then you kind of have to look at that and go, okay, well, if it's only going to cause more problems for everybody, then you would probably have to say that it's unjustified. So anybody that's saying that it is justified, it's very interesting because you know, I would then question what their moral framework is, because they're kind of proving to not be a utilitarian or consequentialist, and so I'm wondering where they're getting that justification from.
I'm just curious, is there anyone on the panel who thinks that it's a good idea or justifiable to attack civilians?
It depends on who you define as civilians. This part's very important.
Just regular, normal Israelis, people living on a kibbutz.
Again, we have to define what that means, because we can understand the settlers are armed, the settlers are attacking and clearing out villages themselves, right? And someone can call them a civilian, but they are not. They are active participants in this violence. And so if the
you're saying
if the Palestinians, I'm going to answer your question. If the Palestinians were to attack those settlers, armed settlers, who shoot, kill, murder these individuals, yes, it's perfectly justified to fight back.
So I just want to be clear. Are you saying, when you say civilian, when you say settlers, are you saying solely the people in the West Bank? Are you saying people in the West Bank also Israel proper? Are you saying West Bank, Golan Heights? What are you saying?
That's like I said. This is a good question because, as you're properly pointing out, not all settlers have equal like access to Palestinians, and not all settlers are even armed. Like this is a spectrum. So I'm not exactly sure where that line is. But certainly the ones who are actively.
Well, it's a relevant line. You should have an answer to the question of where the line
No,
is. Right?
no, sorry. I'm not going to pigeonhole. I understand a spectrum of violence that's being done here. Some people are doing it.
Right, but I'm
passively,
asking whether or not
others
you're
more
willing to
actively.
condemn
Hold
the
on,
murder
hold
of
on,
children.
hold on. I'll answer your question. Excuse me. So I can understand that there's a difference between these two. Now you're asking me exactly where is the line? No, I don't know exactly where the line is, but there are active militants, settler militants, and they certainly are justified doing it.
Can I
Yeah,
let me
but
ask?
that's
when you say
wait,
settlers,
stop,
that's to do with them
wait,
being-
hold on.
hold
Let me
on.
ask a clarifying question. Okay, just so you know. Okay, so for the purposes of this conversation, I think all of us can agree that when somebody says civilians, I think all of us agree that we're talking about citizens of Israel that are not engaged in direct military or violent confrontation. So, for instance, I would be shocked if anybody in here was opposed to Palestinians in the West Bank enacting violence on aggressive settlers using firearms to clear out camps. I think everybody in here would probably say there are justifications for that type of counterattack. I think I think the point of the question was to get more to, like, for instance, the people that were partying at the festival. Would these types of settlers be okay to enact violence against
not
on behalf
settlers.
of the Palestinians?
Stephen, you're incorrect. Those weren't settlers. Those were people in Israel proper.
What?
Those people were in Israel proper. They weren't in Gaza.
I'm sorry. I understand what you're saying. There are some people, a lot of Palestinians.
There are people in the West Bank.
Sorry,
That's
hold on. I'm sorry.
certainly
Yeah,
true.
I'm sorry. One sec. Just to be clear, there are some people that would consider all Israeli citizens settlers. So that's what I'm saying. Like the wording that we use. Yeah, I'm just saying civilians that aren't engaged in direct military occupation. Because when people say violence is okay against settlers, there are a lot of people that consider every Israeli citizen a settler. So that's what I'm trying to clarify. Right. So
Yeah, fair. I think
Thank you for coming in
appreciate
and
that.
having to give definitions because leftists want to subvert things.
I want to ask you,
there's a second
I want to ask you,
component
Prime, when it comes to definitions of settlers. I mean, you said so when you say settlers, you always qualified it with settlers who are engaging in violence and attacking Palestinians. Well, that doesn't matter if they're a settler or not. Like, even if a civilian does that, you're okay to defend yourself against them. So I know legally, just being a settler, like a non-violent settler, makes you a civilian. You're a civilian if you're a settler in the West Bank. That's like international law. Do you agree with that? Or do you think the settlers, like, it doesn't matter if they're attacking Palestinians or not, just them being there makes them fair game for attack? What do you think?
Yeah, it's a tough question. I think overall, I think that being part of the settlement movement is a violence being done to the Palestinian people, right? Like you are justifying and participating in the system.
just as a real quick clarifying question, I'm sorry. Just when you say settler movement, do you mean only people in the West Bank, or do you mean all Israelis?
I guess right now I'll just talk about the West Bank. I'm more familiar with that rather than like what's happening in Israel proper, so I'll just speak to that. So you are like actively participating in that, and I don't want to whitewash that, but I don't know how we can just like as outside observers say it's okay to shoot like some kid who happens to have grown up in a settlement. I don't see how that can be a proper target.
You kind of showed your own contradiction.
Ow.
Well, like you're saying there's a line that you can't define of where someone stops being a civilian, and then you said, but if they're participating in the settler movement, well they're not. So like what is it? Is it a person that goes to homestead property in an area and chooses to build a home, right? Are they no longer a civilian because they're an adult participating in the settler movement, or do they have to be someone that is actively armed? Like you kind of can't have your cake and eat it too, and kind of like
I'm
wink,
not
wink,
trying
nudge,
to.
nudge. Violence is okay against all of those
Hold
people.
on, I
but
literally
then be
hold on,
like, but totally not okay.
What did I just say? I made it very specific here. I said that like I don't see how we can justify a person who is simply there, not actually doing active violence, right? Like shooting someone, right? Because to be clear, right?
Right,
Like
like I said, you
actively
contradicted
attacking
yourself
an
because you also
individual,
said
right?
being
Yeah,
a
sure,
civilian.
whatever. Yeah, sure. But anyway, I said that those individuals who aren't doing that like I don't know how we can justify attacking them, right? So that would be problematic.
What do you mean by I don't know how we can justify it? It almost seems like you wish that you could find a way to justify attacking these people, but that you can't actually logically say it. Like, you just mean it's unjustified.
All
He's
I'm
saying he's
doing,
not justifying it.
nice, yeah. So all I'm doing is understanding that there's that we as observers want to look to see who is the good guy and who is the bad guy. We want to establish lines and draw them in the sand. I understand that these things aren't true in conflict zones, that there are injustices that happen all the time to various degrees. Some of them might require an armed response, right? And others, I don't know, especially for the Palestinians, I don't know what they can do. But that an armed response wouldn't be necessary or justified. Simple as that.
Okay, you also said that.
It's as simple as that, but can you just say it would be unjustified to attack people that have not attacked anyone else, that have simply been a, quote, part of the settler movement and have built homes there?
I'm sorry.
That would be unjustified to attack those people. Can you just say it is completely unjustified to attack people who have done nothing other than protect their homes? Armed people that have protected their homes, but have not actively gone out and attacked any Palestinian people that have just moved into that area. Is it unjustified to attack them?
What does protected their homes mean, right? So if a Palestinian
see, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Is that like you can't
I'm
just
sorry, things are
unequivocally
more
say
complicated.
it would be wrong to do that.
You won't put
No, it's
me
not
in a black and
complicated.
white line.
You can't
simply
kill
won't do
peaceful
that.
people.
It won't happen to me. I get you, Scott. I have experience.
You
in how
won't go in a
operate.
box.
Okay,
That
wait,
won't work
hold on,
for me.
wait. Okay, hold on. Okay, hold on. Just
so you won't-
wait,
you won't see it's wrong.
Wait, okay, hold on. So just as a quick thing, okay? The steelman argument for Prime Kai's position is, let's say that you're a bunch of Arabs, you live in an area, IDF forces come in, gun you down, kill everybody, blow your shit up, and then other settlers, under the protection of the IDF soldiers that murdered or cleansed all of the ethnic Arabs that live there, now they build properties and homes and they live there, and then the IDF pulls back. Are the people that are now building houses on the bodies of your dead family members, are they enacting any form of violence, or are they safe despite the fact that they were put there with violence? That's like the steelman version of Prime Kai's argument.
Yeah, so I mean, if we take that, like, I would be all for. I would love if people took a libertarian position of understanding property rights and actually went in at an individual basis and said that certain individuals had their homes stolen and that it's stolen land, and that the first thing you do is say, hey, look, I have the deed to this home. Please move off of this land. This is legally mine, and you have no right to be here. And then we escalated until a form where eventually we had to go to violence because they refused to move. Yeah, I would love that if that was the case, but I know that that's not the steelman position, because that would require Prime Guys to be a libertarian.
Yeah, can we have a clarification?
That can't be the steelman position. That would be mine.
Wait, hold on. That is literally the steelman position. Is that there might be quote unquote civilian settlements in the West Bank, but those are put there on the auspices of IDF violence, right? That's the whole point.
So, Stephen, where would that be?
Right, and the solution to that would be
what
individual
specific location are you
property,
talking about?
What I'm talking about the expansion of settlements in the West Bank.
Right. What specific expansion? What specific settlement?
I don't know the name of the specific settlement, but the territory of the West Bank wasn't within the original Israeli borders defined after the War of 1948. So technically every single Israeli settlement, all of them, literally every single one. The only reason why that territory exists is because Israel has drawn armistice lines over it after a prior war, right? The 6-Day War.
So are you saying the influx of Jews, or are you saying the Area C as a concept? Right, like the Area C, as in like it is controlled both militarily and civilly by the Israeli government, is a separate question than whether or not there's an influx of Jewish people. So
I'm
which
saying
one of those
that
are you
every
discussing?
single Jewish settlement in the West Bank is arguably.
But when you say settlement there, like my point is, like, there's a difference between, like, if people purchase land, this is Fabian's point, people purchase land gainfully, rightfully from people, from Palestinians, and then they purchase that land and then they live on that land. Like, what's the problem there as a Jewish person? Why is it different for a Jew to do that than for a Muslim to do it?
Because you're making an assumption that I think maybe is, again, another part of this socialist agit prop and murky waters that so many people have to dig through in order to understand what actually happened. Is that, yes, you are definitely describing the way some settlements have been established. also other settlements have been established by people like kind of cheekily, peacefully moving in and then causing problems, and then they waiting for the Palestinians to attack, and then wiping out that section, and then being like, oh, all this new land is up for grabs, right? And then there are other sections where individuals have gone to Palestinians, purchased land, and then moved in and lived in that land. And there's no stolen land involved in this process whatsoever, unless you believe that a Jew existing on the land taints the land itself.
Yeah, but I think Prime is
Yeah, I
saying
mean,
that he doesn't believe in violence against these people unless they're actively involved in violence themselves, not just by being on the land in and of itself.
Right,
Because if
but
you said that, then
Yeah,
you
I
would
would
wanna say
assume that as
Israel
well.
alone,
And then
well.
I was
That's
like,
not
hey,
quite
can you
true.
say that? And then he wouldn't.
Fabian, that's not quite true because
Right.
there are examples where it actually has been stolen land. So the most famous example, the most recent one, was in 2017. It was in Mona, right? So that was an example of land that was just literally taken.
I said there are
by a bunch
examples
of
that there
Jews
are
and just
that
started
aren't,
squatting.
right? Like
Right,
you
and
could
to be
you could
clear,
go all
like,
the way you could
Israel,
go all
the
the way back
government
you could go all the way
stopped
back to like the British Mandate and say and if you really looked enough historically, and there were documents, right? Like the Britain controlled areas that had been left from the Ottoman Empire. I'm sure there's tons of land there that has been stolen from somebody or was public unused land. Everything
Yeah, but I'm
ultimately,
saying
if you want to be properly
there
ethical, has
are
to go by
cases-
case basis.
Yeah, so
There's a
look,
difference
Scott,
between my point is there's a difference between an outpost and an actual settlement. A settlement is a place that there are like genuine property rights of the people there. An outpost does not. So there are outposts that exist. Again, Mona's the
Okay.
most
Well, just to
recent
be
example.
clear,
You're
those
getting into
property
linguistic
rights,
territory
those
for
property
no
rights
reason.
are devolved under military occupation, though. That's
exactly.
why they're not recognized internationally. That's why they're illegal. They're illegal to Israel, but they're illegal to everyone else.
Okay.
I think as a quick
Scott,
so
Scott,
just as a real quick thing,
your whole thing is
You're anarchist. Somebody don't fuck about Israel or anybody else.
buying land and territory, right, is not necessarily a bad thing. Buying land and territory that you have like an unrecognized military occupation over is quite a bit different, especially when you're buying land from people that everybody agrees you've ethnically cleansed already from their homes and territory.
Scott, like,
Wait, I'm sorry,
Scott,
everyone's
Scott, I just
ethnically
want
cleansed?
to, Scott, I just
come
want to, like, try to address your point directly. What I was trying to say, when you asked me that question, right, like, will you sign on to this statement? I wanted to show just how difficult it is just to just make any sort of blanket statement. So when you said, because before you said, like, an Israeli who is defending their home, right? Is that person different from a person who goes out and attacks Palestinians in another village? Well, what I was trying to say is if a Palestinian comes back to that home and says, hey, this is my place, and that person, the Israeli, pulls out a gun on them, and then the Palestinian escalates, like, is that justified? So I was just trying to, like,
hold on.
complicate the
Let me
situation.
be
But I
as fair
understand
as I can.
perfectly what you're saying. And in
Let me
fact,
be as fair
and in
as I
fact,
possibly can.
and in fact, I'm signing on more to what you're like the homesteading libertarian view of this, right? So like, I'm trying to like build a bridge here. Go ahead.
Right. If I can be as fair as I possibly can, right? Will you sign on to this thing? A person purchases property from a Palestinian, has a deed that shows that they purchased property from a Palestinian to move into an area for whatever reason that they desire because they like that. Maybe they just fucking love Palestinian people, right? Maybe they're just fucking, some super hardcore Tel Aviv lefty that just, lives in solidarity with the Palestinians, right? And wants to live amongst them. And they purchase land, right? And then they live in their home and they have firearms and they've never used those firearms unless someone came in to raid their home they gainfully purchased. Is it wrong to commit violence against those people? Is it unjustified in that specific example?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So we have at least
that includes
some
in the case
area
of-
where there are some people in the West Bank that it is unjustified to attack by your definition,
yes.
which means that a blanket attack on quote unquote settlers in the West Bank is not justified.
Absolutely.
It needs
Do you
to
think that
look
those
at
people have done
individually.
something
We
wrong?
need to look at property disputes.
Do you think that those Jews have done something wrong, Prime?
Which Jews?
The Jews who are purchasing that land.
From a
You mean
Palestinian?
the Jews?
If you just laid it out. From a Palestinian, certainly not. I mean, if a Palestinian wants to sell their land, And yes, I mean,
Okay,
that's
so
something
if
like
in
up to
Area
right,
C-
not a
so-
gunpoint, yeah.
So I just want to clarify. If in Area C, a Jew wants to purchase land, and they are a citizen of Israel, you are okay with them purchasing that land?
Yeah, if they got if
Okay.
they can get it. If they're not, if like it's a fair deal, obviously, right? If there's like pressure on this Palestinian to sell, like the IDF is saying we're going to clear this place out, and then some Jewish settler comes in and says, "Oh, I'll give you some money for this," right? In that case, it's not so much. But if it's just a regular,
Okay, and that would be a case by case.
Absent coercion. Absent
Absent
coercion, but
coercion.
like absent coercion, but there's always going to be like some limited level of coercion.
I just want to clarify what we're talking about. We're talking about Jewish people purchasing territory with no coercion from a group of people under indefinite military occupation. Just to be clear, that's what you're saying.
This is the problem I have with
In
this,
Area
though,
C,
is that
correct.
it's kind of impossible to remove the coercion from the element when there's IDF soldiers on the beat, when the Palestinians in occupied territory are going to be treated by a separate set of laws than Israeli citizens, and they're going to be treated differently from the government than Israeli citizens. I think that state of conditions in and of itself is coercive to the Palestinians to make them want to leave and go to maybe to the diaspora overseas if their families living in France or in Germany or in the United States.
To speak to that briefly,
Yeah,
I think
but
the
so-
rate of approval for
there any-
building for the rate of approval for building on Palestinian property is something like 2%. Like Israel overwhelmingly denies the ability of Palestinians to build their own shit on their own land because they don't want more Palestinians there. That like
Where are you
it's so
talking
obvious.
about?
In
Where?
the West Bank. They don't have
I
control over
believe that number. I believe that statistics on Jerusalem. If you're talking about Jerusalem, that's certainly that. I mean, I don't remember the exact statistics off the top of my head. But that wouldn't shock me in Jerusalem. But that's a very different conversation than West Bank writ large.
My
There's lots
understanding
of
is
stuff that's
that
happening in like Ramallah, for example, right?
my understanding is that for the West Bank, any sort of construction has to be done under the approval of the Israeli military because it's a military, they're the controlling government of that area, right? Not just in East Jerusalem, but in literally all parts of the West Bank. No?
Not in all of it. In Area C, that's true. In Area B, it is militarily controlled by Israel. It's not civilly controlled. So there are certain cases in Area B in which that would be the case. In Area A, that is not true at all. So in most of the cities, which the majority of people live in West Bank, that is not the case.
All right. Does anybody else has anything to say before we move on to the next question? Any last takes?
I just want to remind everybody that in the beginning I said that Palestinians can bomb Israeli government buildings. In case anyone accuses me of being too pro-state in Israel.
Just to
In that specific example. Yeah.
Just to read the permitting thing, it's 2% of Area C, so the area under Israeli control. But so, like, again, that's the sort of example of the coercion here, that if Area C expands and if Palestinians can't build there, then the amount of area that they get to control gets smaller and smaller and smaller. There's clearly a structural violence going on here that doesn't justify violence against individuals, but maybe does justify violence against the structures. So,
I'm curious, do you have the numbers
mean by
for
violence
the
against the structures
Israeli
there?
approval process?
Isn't it like 94%? I feel like I've seen these numbers before. It's very, very, very high on
Yeah.
the Israeli side.
Yeah,
like
I was-
what-
can you
exact inverse.
send like
I also
where
think
you're
it'd be
getting
worth-
that Area C one?
I think
I
it'd be
was
worth
gonna
knowing
ask-
as
okay,
well.
just-
What percentage? Sorry, what percentage of settlers, like settler land, is actually just Jews purchasing the land from Palestinians who own the land? Because I thought wasn't quite a lot of this land that was devolved to settlements actually unregistered land that was obviously taken under Israel during the occupation. Do you know?
I mean, like most
I don't
most
know
of
the- I
Israel,
don't have
well,
that.
most of current day Israel, Palestine, Assyria, Palestine, whatever you want, was just unused land. Like most of it is public land that no one's been living on.
That's what
Like,
I
it's-
thought.
there's
yeah.
a lot
I
of
thought it was. Yeah.
there's a large portion of Israel that is unarable until people come there and build infrastructure, or there are swamps, or there is desert, right? And specifically in the West Bank, yes, the land is a little bit better, but it's still, I mean, like when you look at the best maps available in terms of like as the Zionist movement come in and with each process, there's still tons of public domain land that nobody's living on, and then people go and live on it.
But that's why, when we're talking this argument about Jews buying up land from Palestinians individually, like maybe even under occupation, maybe you can make an argument for that. But I feel like in most cases, it's settlers who are taking this land because that land was taken by Israel in 1967, and that's where the majority of it comes from. And I'd say that so the majority of cases, that's why settler presence would be unethical, right?
Yeah. So what's your view on what should happen on that land?
either land swapped because those people are not going to want to live in a Palestinian state, or you withdraw. Probably I'd withdraw
No,
the
I'm saying-
outposts 100%.
I'm saying
but-
prior to the settlements, like prior to Jews moving in there, what
Well, I
should
think
have
it would have
happened
been-
to that land?
So in 67?
Yeah.
Well, I think initially
No, no,
it
no.
wasn't even.
Maybe-
It wasn't
maybe
even. Wait,
66.
Jesus Christ! I think even initially it wasn't even legal by Israeli standards for them. They just went there of their own accord. They just wandered in there themselves and kind of did it independently. So I think if Israel maybe just kind of enforced some rules there and said, "Wait, this isn't actually like going to be ours forever,"
Why is it on Israel to do?
because they're occupying the territory.
Okay, so it's Israel's job to forcibly remove any Jews who want to go into the area.
Yes.
To occupy territory, if they want to like a path to statehood for their neighbors, then yeah. Unless they just want to have the situation we have now, which
So-
is you expand
okay, so
settlements
you
for like
do
50,
believe
60
that-
years.
Okay, so it is your stance that in order for Palestine to be a separate country, it has to be an ethno-state with no Jews.
I don't say it needs to be an ethno state. First of all, okay, wait. Do you think these settlers would want
Oh.
to live in a Palestinian state?
Well, I'm asking. Like these are not Israelis.
I'm not saying it needs to be an
We're talking
ethno
about
state. I'm saying
Jews.
I'm not. It's not about the. It's not about. They could be the same ethnicity. It's that you're settling in occupied territory,
Okay,
where the
but
people who
it's-
live there
you're
don't
not-
have
but my point
self-determination.
is,
They have no say
you
over.
wouldn't make the same. You wouldn't make the same claim about all of the Palestinians who post Nakba were leaving Israel proper and going into the West Bank. So I'm curious, what's the difference there between Jews moving into the West Bank and Palestinians moving into the West Bank, and why?
Because one group moved there as refugees, the other one moved there as settlers.
So is your claim that the Jews in the 1940s and 1950s and 1960s were not refugees?
The ones in '67, the ones who moved into the West Bank, I don't think they were refugees. No.
I'm asking prior to that.
Were
like,
they?
At the beginning of the founding of Israel. is
You
your
can
claim
ask
that
me a
those
completely
Jews weren't
different question
refugees?
if you want. No, yeah, I think the Mizrahi and North African Jews were refugees, but that's a completely different question.
Well, and even
Okay.
refugees
Wait,
don't have
but-
the right to. Even refugees don't have the right to go and like take other people's lands. Like that's not
You
the
don't have a
right.
right to
that
say,
refugees
yeah,
have.
I'm not for
Yeah.
yeah, but
We're
like,
not talking about
again,
taking over people's land.
so refugees, I would imagine you have a right to be a citizen in Israel, because that's like a country that, that wants state Jewish people, so.
Why would it be? Why is it such a crazy idea? The idea that an occupying state, while occupying territory, should stop its own citizens or its own people from going there and settling on the territory of the displaced.
Yeah, my point is, I
during
don't like this
World War
idea-
II, we had the standard in Germany, and we just started having random like American nationalist colonies all across Germany. We would expect the American government to expel them.
The point I'm
Or
trying
when
to
we
make is I don't
occupied
like this
Iraq and
idea that
Afghanistan, would it have been
Jews-
okay for me to just go in there and like set up a fucking little tent?
The
And,
point that I'm trying to make is that I don't like this
Obviously
idea
not.
that Jews are by definition Israeli. That's a bad idea, right?
one's
There are
making that
just
argument.
Jews.
They should stop
that-
Palestinian.
No, you kind of are.
They,
But you're
they
making
should
this-
stop
you're making
Palestinian
this-
Arabs who
you're
want to go
making
be
this
settlers
case.
too.
No,
Like, it
you're
doesn't-
trying to
you're
make it.
making
You're
this
trying to make
case.
it. No, you're trying to make it an ethnicity argument. I'm saying I can apply this to anywhere. In occupied fucking
point is that
Afghanistan
you
or
didn't
Iraq,
make
it wouldn't have been
the
okay for me to go there and just set up house under that
The
regime
point is
because
that
same thing
you
with.
seem to have
with-
no problem.
West
You seem to have no problem with an influx of Palestinians into this area, whether it's in 48, whether it's in 67. But you seem to have a very large problem
Because
with
they
the
were
influx
forced
of
there.
Jews.
I seem to have no
That's the
problem
difference.
with delineating the difference between settlers and refugees. Yeah, I don't have much of a problem making that separation.
Okay,
I have a
Point is,
question.
you are-
I have a question. Quibbles. I
Yeah,
have
go
a
for it.
question. Just, you know, there seems to be. I'm trying to understand. Is it an anti-Semitic thing? And I'm not accusing anybody here of anti-Semitism. Just more kind of like a broad cultural thing. Is it an anti-Semitic thing, or is it a timeline thing? Like a certain distance in terms of time? Because like the way that I see it is like I agree, right? Like individual property that was owned, that in 48 you had fleeing Palestinian Arabs, if they can prove or show in any capacity that like they owned this portion of land and that it wasn't just unused land, that it's their land, not the settlers that came afterwards land. But it seems to be that there's like this weird thing where Israel is held to this like super libertarian property idea perspective that like no other country is held to. Because like as far as I'm concerned, by this logic, and I agree, most of you probably won't, all of northern Georgia, every white motherfucker that lives there needs to get off of their land right now, because then the Cherokee Nation in 1850 that was forced to walk the Trail of Tears, they homesteaded land, they had a post office, they had property deeds, they did everything they could to prove that that is their land. And so, like, you don't, like, if you live in northern Georgia,
Okay,
you're not just
I
on
gotta
stolen
stop
land.
you.
Yeah, the answer to this question is no.
You know that
I don't
every
think
lefty
that-
on here is pro
I don't think-
reparations. I
the answer-
guarantee it, right? Like,
The answer is
like
no, I
Prime
don't
Kai,
think-
Prime Kai or
The
Loner Bucks,
question
do you
is
oppose
for me.
reparations?
The question
I
is
know.
for me.
Reparations is a
He's
totally
asking the
separate
question to
issue.
you because you're going to agree with him, right? And we're stepping in to disagree.
I'm not going to agree
So
with him.
do either of the
I'm not going to
lefties?
agree with him.
Oh,
Talking
okay.
left, I am not going to agree with him. The answer to the question is no, it is not anti-Semitic for people to be concerned about the Palestinian right to lands, even post-48, even post-67. There is a very real concern that there was a large number of people who have been forced out during the Nakba. There is a very real concern that, yes, Palestinians have a right to live in this area. What I contend with is I think this idea that Jews don't have a right to live in the West Bank, which is a very important component of our historic lands. I think that is a crazy idea, and I think that it is just as absurd to say it about Jews as it is to say it about Palestinians. But
Okay,
in
first
both
of all,
ways-
no,
Not to be a dick,
first of all,
not
no
to
one
be a
gives a
dick,
what's
but
what your
Stockton
important
Left-
historical land.
Stockton
But
Left
also,
was
sorry,
actually answering my question. Like, Stockton Left was actually answering my question, and you just latched onto the anti-Semitic remark. Like, is there any way Stockton Left could finish? Because, like, I think
Well, sure.
reparations are something different.
I
But
mean,
yeah,
it sounds like
but listen,
Lonerbox was gonna give the same answer, that historical land, whatever, is not the important thing here. Like, Israel is unique in part because what other countries are doing settlement like Israel? Part of the reason that we talk about it this way is it's so rare nowadays. A lot of settlements like this died in 1960 during decolonization, but Israel's didn't. Israel's has been going on for another 50, 60 years. That's why we only talk about Israel in that sense. People did talk about stuff like this, about like French colonies and British colonies in random far off countries where they set up their own little tiny ethno state of British only or French only, and they get to run the whole country from there. Yeah, like that. And I just
Also,
just
as like a quick, as a quick,
obviously
as a
that's
quick, wait, hold on.
substantively different
As a,
than French
just
colonialism.
well, hold on. Just as a quick thing, I like to throw in here too. I also think it's okay. We can meaningfully talk differently about the Palestinian peoples, because while the rules of the world might have been like conquest and conquer and take the territory, in I think it's 1945, like the UN has an official charter that a whole bunch of countries around the world sign on to that actually like explicitly gave people the right to self-determination, for people to live on land and to exist there in a way that like the Cherokees or native people in North America didn't. So I think it's worth speaking in a world where all of us try to abide roughly by international law. The UN Charter explicitly in Chapter 1, Article 1, whatever, like explicitly states for people to have a right to a self-determination as people in a land. So that would make it a little bit different than like North American stuff.
All right, hold
Yeah,
on.
but it
Hold on.
sounds like
Wait, Tom, hold on. I want to shift gears slightly. Okay, we've been on this topic for a bit. On the same, like, sort of topic, I want to ask you guys this, right? Do you believe in a two-state solution? If yes, what are the rightful borders between Israel and Palestine? Quibbles, I want to start with you.
Okay, I want a clarification. When you say believe in, do you mean I want it, or do you believe? Does that mean like I believe it's
As in-
possible?
I wouldn't say want it.
Whatever
as in,
you
like,
want it
do
to
you think? Do you think? No. Do you think that would be the best solution if there would be two states?
I think the
Yeah.
best solution to try to get to in the period of the next 40 years is eventually to have Gaza be an independent country, have much of the West Bank, but not all of the West Bank, be an independent country, and have particularly the areas that are closest to the border of the settlements folded into Israel proper, and have that be a third country.
Okay.
But I think it's going to happen tomorrow, and I think that it's going to take a lot of struggle, and I think it's going to require that there's an occupation of Gaza for a long time to get there, and I think it's going to require that, unfortunately, many hundreds of thousands of people are going to die. I think it's going to be screwed for a really long time. Yeah.
So when you say the settlements should become part of Israel proper, I guess that would also mean the West Bank would be kind of disconnected, right? Because those settlements run in between.
Yeah, that's
Palestinian
why
communities.
I clarified.
Yeah, so thank you for just explaining why people
I
are
say-
getting settlements for reasons
no,
that are
that's
not
why-
anti-Semitism and
that's why-
ethnic states. Cool, that's fine.
That's why I clarified. I was talking about the ones that
Now we
are
know.
specifically on the border, right? There's the overwhelming majority of settlers are within a mile of the border. Something like 90% are literally within a mile of the border. So those settlements that are very close to the border, that are there primarily for fiscal reasons, I would put them in a separate category than the ones that are there primarily for religious reasons, which are much further inland.
I don't know. So even in Camp David, these settlements then running between communities were prevalent enough that it would have kind of disconnected the West Bank. So I can't imagine a settlement now would not include that, though. unless you wanted to
it-
dismantle
there's-
some of them.
The answer is that there's going to be some number of Jews that are folded into that Palestinian West Bank, and there's going to be some number of Palestinian non-Jews that are folded into Israel proper as a result of this. This is going to be complicated. There's a reason it's going to take 40 years to get to it, but I do think that that's the closest to a reasonable solution that I can think of. And again, it is not happening tomorrow, and again, it's going to be incredibly bloody to get to it.
Yeah, so I would say two things. The first, the only ethical solution that doesn't violate anyone's rights is that the state of Israel, the nation state of Israel, dissolves, and that private property rights and anarchism is given to everybody. But kumbaya, la la land, fucking utopia shit, right? So I would say that a proper, a better situation tactically towards reestablishing property rights would have to be a two-state solution, much like was offered. I would say 67 borders is probably the closest we'll get. I'm gonna just disagree with many of the pro-Israel stands in terms of the West Bank areas. I think those should be under the Palestinian Authority, and most of those people will probably have to flee, because when you have a majority Muslim country and you're a Jew, you can pretty much expect that that they'll kill you.
Can I ask you a quick clarifying question? Because I'm actually not sure. When people say, just as a quick question, I'm not sure if you guys know this. When people say 67 borders, do they mean like 48 borders, or do they mean like post 6-Day War borders? Like, what are they talking about when they say
Pre-67 borders?
Pre-67? Okay, gotcha. Just make sure. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. Sorry. So with 67 borders yeah. So I would say that, as well as like what was offered in 2019 to the Palestinian Authority that they rejected, which is 67 borders and joint control over all holy sites in Jerusalem, was offered, and so has been offered multiple times, I believe. And so like that, I think that's probably the best deal. Yeah, the 2019 like perfect deal or whatever. That was just that never got to talks.
The Trump
just
deal.
never went to talks. Yeah, the Trump deal. They just immediately were like, no, fuck you.
Okay, everyone Google the map for the Trump peace plan, and ask yourselves why the Palestinians weren't interested in that. Just Google the map.
Am I incorrect? That it was,
have you seen them? The Trump deal was 2020, but there's a good reason Palestinians were never going to accept this, right? Have you seen the map?
People literally.
It looks like someone just like flicked paint on the Israel map, and you've got fucking Palestinian territory, right?
People have literally posted memes
I'll
of
look
like
again.
subdividing California with vision for peace up top because of how fucked it is. Where you carve out like the top the 8 red counties in California, and it looks the fucking same.
Well,
it's a joke.
One of the things that I find a little bit frustrating.
So what I'm
about
referring to is
conversations
before a map, before any deal, before anything was put forward, right? Trump said, well, I don't know that it was Trump specifically. I can't remember exactly who it was. They were speaking about 67 borders and joint control. And then the Palestinian Authority, without ever seeing the deal, said that they needed to reject it.
Just as a quick thing, because I just look this up real quick. Just as a real quick, looking at the borders that were proposed for this, the amount of territory here allotted to the Palestinians seems significantly less than what existed from 48 to 67, and it looks like the Palestinians weren't even consulted when it came to doing this proposal. So it's not surprising that anybody would.
Yeah, it was an untenable solution.
It's a hilarious one. Regardless,
itself,
the 2019 deal is not the
when we
point
look
of
at
what I'm
maps,
saying.
Like
I just
every
think-
deal since Geneva
I
has
brought
just
it
been
up.
total horseshit. Would never happen.
That was
Yeah.
the deal.
I will say, so there's a couple of things.
Yeah.
The first
I have
thing-
no problem.
Wait, hold
without
on,
interrupting, let me
Fabian.
just take this L publicly.
Fabian, 1 second. We'll stalk it. Let him finish, and then you could go ahead. Okay, let's go ahead.
Okay, there's a couple of things. The first thing that I will say is that the idea of having, I mean, this is exactly what Lennerbox was saying earlier, and he's totally right about it. The idea of having these territories that are not actually connected is a really dangerous idea. This is why I think that the idea of Gaza being the same country as the West Bank, I think is just untenable. I don't think it's a good idea. But the second component that I do think is worth pointing out is that when you look at maps like this, it's very similar to like the Electoral College. Republicans will constantly look at like an Electoral College and be like, ooh, look at the whole thing is red, right? Except these tiny little cities. Well, yeah, but the cities are blue, right? So like similarly, well, yeah, if you look like at a map like that, what it's saying there is the majority of the areas that people don't live in are going to end up being under Israeli control, which makes sense from a military perspective, because from a military perspective, that is somewhere that you're able to shoot off rockets from. And so it has a lot of military implications, but has very little implications in terms of the daily life of many of the people who actually live in cities.
Is there anybody who thinks that the West
I
Bank
don't
and
support this.
Gaza should be one state while separated like that?
Say it again.
Is there anybody who does think that the West Bank and Gaza should be one state while separated like that?
Yeah, that was what the Trump peace plan was. Yeah. That was up until like this month, the broad view of a lot of people. It's very recent that people believe that Gaza and the West Bank need to be considered to be like separate things. That is not something that either the Palestinian or the Israeli side were in support of up until this month. And that's pretty remarkably changing. I'd not heard other people talk about that until this month.
Well, is the three-state solution gaining traction amongst politicians in Israel and Palestine?
I would say
Well,
so.
I mean,
Like,
I
certainly-
figured that they were going to
Any
redraw borders to where they would
solution
actually
gaining traction
connect in
amongst
some
I would
way,
say-
or that they would be.
Oh yeah, senior Israelis are talking about just kicking all the Palestinians out, and they've drafted up plans
So,
and
hold on,
costed
I
it
just-
out. But
hold on.
that's the plan that's rising
Hold
in
on,
their minds.
So,
Or that.
real quick, I just wanted to go back, look real quick. I had not looked at a map. I had only read from sources without looking at a map. I was wrong. I just wanted to publicly take that L because I don't want to bullshit. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Right? That's all I wanted to say. Continue.
Sigma.
It
Okay,
doesn't have to
guys.
get quiet after that. Like you have to make this worse for me.
I was- this moment will never come again, so I'm just gonna sit here and enjoy it. But
drinking
I've
it in,
done
yeah.
that like multiple times on your show. Don't
I
do
know,
that.
I know. I'm just messing with you, friend.
I always take my L's publicly. All right. I don't try and like wash over them. Fuck off.
Oh, you're good.
All right. Let me ask you this, right? To what extent, and this is something that we've seen plenty, and this is something that I'm sure a lot of you guys have spoken about as well, but to what extent does media bias, both internationally and within the region, perpetuate or exacerbate the conflict, and how can this be rectified for a fair representation of the situation? Because I'm sure a lot of you have, some takes on the coverage of the conflict on both sides.
Can we start with Destiny?
No, let's start with Jackson Hinkle. No one should listen to Jackson Hinkle. Then you can say whatever else you were going to say. Yeah.
Wait, hold on. What's your problem with Jackson Hinkle?
Jackson Hinkle is an idiot.
Communism. That we're done.
Exclusively
That's it.
stupid things.
It's retarded.
Ah,
There you
stop,
go. There's the whole problem.
bro. The American, oh my God, communism, terrible. Like, no, wait, quibbles. What's your problem with
Yeah.
Jackson Hinkle?
That Jackson Hinkle like regularly, just constantly, in terms of the attack on the hospital, in terms of lots of stuff, he's just like constantly saying complete. That was supposed to be a throwaway, but yeah, he's saying complete bullshit all the time, and it's just like
Okay,
that.
okay, wait, hold on, hold on.
Hinkle is
Okay.
a habitual grifter.
All right, one second.
Yeah.
How would someone like Jackson Hinkle be different to someone like Ben Shapiro and his takes and his coverage of the conflict?
Because I think that Ben Shapiro at least attempts broadly to be truthful, even if he is biased. That's different than Jackson Hinkle, who is both biased and doesn't even attempt to be truthful.
Can
Wait,
I
okay.
draw a difference? Can I
Wait,
draw a
wait,
difference?
wait,
Wait, real quick. Just in terms of expanding what he's saying, I think the difference is Ben Shapiro, like, let's say there's a fight where 5 people bring guns on one side and 5 people bring guns on the other side. Ben Shapiro would report this as, wow, 5 really bad dudes like showed up with guns and they managed to get killed by like good guys or whatever. He would never report that the other 5 guys had guns. He would only report one side of it. Jackson Hinkle would claim that 4,000 brave men were surrounded by like 5 murderers. He would completely fabricate the story. That's the difference. Ben Shapiro doesn't seem to outright lie, but he selectively chooses facts so much that the stories he tells are essentially dishonest. But it's not usually with an outright lie.
So one is a little dishonest, the other is an outright liar. What Quibbles just said is, with Ben Shapiro,
but
he
the way
tries or
things
attempts
go-
to be honest. Wait, hold on.
Yeah,
Does anybody
way
else on this
things-
panel agree with
I
that?
never said Ben Shapiro
No,
tends to be
yeah,
clear.
it's-
I never said Ben Shapiro tends to be honest. I said Ben Shapiro usually won't fabricate fact. Jackson Hinkle has no obligation to be truthful in anything they do. He'll show you a video from 2014 from Syria and claim that it's IDF soldiers killing Palestinians today. He would do something like that. Ben Shapiro will say something like, Arab nations attack Israel for absolutely no good reason. He'll say something like that, right?
Ben Shapiro would also say there's 40 beheaded babies and provide absolutely no proof. But Loner, you wanted to talk about Quibbles and his take that Ben Shapiro is more honest and wouldn't lie as Jackson Hinkle would.
I did not
No,
support
Ben Shapiro
in that statement.
does.
Let's
Ben Shapiro
clarify,
does
that's not what
lie
I did.
sometimes. Jackson Hinkle lies all the time. That's all the difference is.
No, but
Yeah,
we're
and
talking
just one
about-
last
we're talking
note.
about this conflict.
And Jackson lies with a lot more impunity. Yeah.
Hinkle is also
He does a lot more
openly a
maliciously, too.
grifter. Like he went from being like a Warren stan in 2018, he was an ML in 2020, he was a conservative communist in 2022, and then he went on Fox News and was promoting George Soros controls the world. There's a deep state run by the FBI with George Soros conspiracy theories. The guy is like either insane or a grifter. Like those are the 2 options. Yeah.
Like,
There's a fine line between like
Okay, Prime
far
wanted
right-
to insult
far
Destiny.
right
I want to hear about
fascists
that. You're
and
done with
MLs,
Jackson.
to be fair, that's not
Prime
a
wanted to insult
hard grift. Like the far
Prime
right
insult
fascist
Destiny.
is like barely indistinguishable between the tanky. Let's be honest.
Wait, hold on,
Okay.
Slicker. What do you want? Wait, hold on, Quiggles. 1 second, Slicker. What do you want?
Nice to meet you guys. I just want to come in here and say that I've not been watching too much, but I gotta say something. I'm a threat. I am. I'm not trolling here. I'm not messing about. I feel like I'm a threat to society. And you know why? I don't know. I don't know you guys. One second. Let me just put you guys up. Nice to meet you.
Bald
You
head
guys don't know.
blinds people as you walk by.
Bro, shut up. You're white. You're a cracker. Shut up. No one's talking to you. But I want to jump in straight and jump in. I want to jump in and straight talk. I want to talk and say some things, right? Number one, Destiny. Destiny, this is you little cook. Look at me, baby. Now, let me ask you a question, right? Why does everyone here think they are eligible to say Hamas is a terrorist group? Let me hear that. Let me hear that from you guys.
Why are we allowed to say Hamas is a terrorist group?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
in their
go ahead.
original charter, it seemed as though they were advocating for the destruction of Jewish people all across the world.
Okay, well, I actually did hear that. That's okay. I think that is wrong, but that's the only reason why they are But that's the only reason why they are labeled as a terrorist group because of what they said about the Jews.
That's
Bro,
not the only
listen
reason.
to me.
They also
no,
engage.
listen to me. Listen to me.
Okay, you don't want me to
but
answer?
listen
Okay,
to
go
me,
ahead. Yeah,
listen.
there are
Okay,
other
okay,
reasons
listen
too,
to
but
me.
yeah, go ahead.
Okay, all right, okay, but listen to this. We shouldn't be saying that because we don't know that what they're going for. We are not in their footsteps to say that they are a terrorist group. Now you know why? Listen to this as well. Destiny, you are a Palestinian. Your mom and your dad just died. Hamas comes up to you and says, "Oh, we're gonna go invade Israel." What are you gonna say after your mom and dad just died from Israel attack?
I don't know. I guess I'd say, well,
They
I'll
might
go
say
be a
something
terrorist
like,
too. I mean, what do you want me to
"The day
say?
of Judgment will not come until Muslims fight the Jews. When the Jew will hide behind stones
Oh,
and
get the
trees.
out of
Stones
here
and
with that.
trees will
Oh
say,
my
Oh,
God.
bro.
Muslim
You know what? You know what? Let me say
Wait,
something.
Slicker,
Let
Slicker,
me say
hold on,
something
no,
about this
Slicker,
guy.
hold
Let me
on,
say something about this guy.
wait, hold on,
Easily,
Slicker.
easily.
No, hold on,
Easily.
Slicker. Wait, Slicker, hold on. Fabian, you just quoted
Sorry, that's just the
something.
1988
Wait,
charter of.
No, you just quoted it with no context, with no background. You just said, no, but this is the
context.
charter.
What
There's nothing.
context makes the
Wait,
trees
no,
and
hold on,
stones crying
wait,
out
hold
for
on.
the Muslims to kill the
Hold
Jews?
on. First of all,
Makes sense.
First of all, we act as though Hamas was just created out of nowhere, out of the blue. First and foremost.
No, I
Yes, you do, because you act
No, I
as though
don't.
Hamas just came out of nowhere. Just to out of
Hamas because he wanted a group that was Islamist that would cause problems with the Palestinian Authority, and then his dumb ass let it get out of control. I'm a f***ing libertarian, okay? But when somebody comes on here and tries to act like f***ing terrorists aren't pieces of shit, it's f***ing stupid. And you
Where is your energy for America, for Europe, for even Israel? Where's your energy for saying that? We know what the whole world. Listen, you white. Don't talk to me like that. But for all your energy, all your energy. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. If you're gonna talk about Hamas, first everyone in this world should start talking about what America and what Europe has done to or everyone. But because of white people dying in this world and this woman that's died, they don't want to show IDF don't want to show pictures of any of the kids that died in Palestine. They don't give a shit.
A lot of the people who died in southern Israel were like Thai migrant workers. A lot of them were Arab. They weren't all white people.
As an Iraqi that's seen the dirty, scummy Americans invaded, and even Ukraine wanted to jump in and invade Iraq.
Slicker, when did you live in Iraq again? When did you live in Iraq again? Slicker, for how long?
Yeah, you guys are racist.
Listen. Well, because white people are dying and getting invaded, we should tear for them. Go suck my give a f about you. And if you think Hamas is a terrorist, just look at yourself in the mirror because you're living in a terrorist-ass country. West side.
After we're done with
West
the
side.
performative libertarian versus whatever this is, can we get back to something?
All right.
And this, first of all, and this homeless, and this guy, this electrocuted looking ass motherfucker saying Jackson Hinkle is a whatever you said, talking
He's
shit
a
about him.
Nazgul. He literally quotes LaRouche. LaRouche is a far right fascist.
You know what?
He's probably an FBI officer. He went on Fox News.
You know what?
He promoted white supremacy, promoted the deep state.
Listen, let me say something.
Nazi.
You know what I'm gonna say? I respect him. You know why? Because he's against America. I respect him for that.
Oh,
And not you guys say that. Not you guys say that. You don't see that shit. Any motherfucker in this world that talks about Jackson Hinkle, you ain't promoting or helping anyone in this world other than sitting here begging for money like Destiny, just trying to farm this shit.
Can you point to which causes Jackson Hinkle has promoted? Can you point to one?
Okay, well, all right. Listen.
No, just real quick.
At the end of the day, the charity is.
Name one. Stop pivoting. Name one thing that he's actually promoted for the benefit of Palestinian people. Besides posting on Twitter, name one concrete thing.
Asking for $3
Bro,
donation.
the charity is of him exposing the world, him exposing his own government. Bro, he could die from this retard.
He's not gonna die from anything. Come on, the victim complex.
Bro,
Come on.
says the guy that's a Discord mod. Don't talk. I'm not talking to you. But I'm saying it to this fuck on the right. I'm telling you that he could die from this. It could be a threat. I'm telling you, it's dangerous. None of you Americans will do that. All you guys are having on Twitter.
It's a charity to all you guys. So true. So true.
Enough. Stop.
Okay, guys just got wrecked.
Enough. All I'm gonna say is
Enough. You brought
Why were you nodding along with much of what he was saying? I know you don't agree with him, so why were you nodding?
what I'm going to say is this: when somebody labels Hamas as terrorists but fails to recognize the IDF and what they've done in Gaza, what they've done to Palestinians, and refuses to acknowledge the war crimes that were committed by the Israelis, you know, I can't really take you that serious. If you were to look at the IDF and think yourself, you know what?
Just as a quick thing. Wait. Just as a quick thing. Q. The reason why people have an issue with this is here's what it looks like when you go to 95% of Western people and you say, hey, here is some irrefutable evidence that the IDF was shooting civilians at long range. They killed civilians for no reason. Do you know what 95% of people say? They go, that's really horrible. Those soldiers should be punished. Here's what happens when you show videos of, you know, like murdered, broken, you know, German girl bodies being thrown around trucks, being spit on, okay, by Gaza City inhabitants, and you say, hey, do you think this is bad? This is what you guys do. Wait, you gotta understand. Well, there's an occupation, and sometimes, you know, the solid people might be. It's not always bad. You gotta. There's a context behind everything. There's a context behind. That's the issue. That's why people have an issue. That's why people have an issue with the. Okay, you can keep talking about it. That's the issue. That's the reality. That's the reality. Okay. That's the reality. That's the issue. That is the issue.
No, hold on. Who did it? No, wait 1 second. Who the fuck stopped over me?
You made a claim. Who did it?
No, Fabian, stop. You act as though the people that support Israel don't say, do you condemn Hamas? The first thing, when you point out all the shit that the IDF did, the first thing they say is, you condemn Hamas. You condemn Hamas.
Because people ask that because it's a layup. That's why people ask it.
There have been Jewish terrorists in the West Bank. If you asked me to condemn them, I would immediately condemn them and we would move forward. It would take literally 15 seconds to get back.
Okay, let me speak to that.
All over Twitter, all of these lefties that were like, hey, white people, do you condemn this mass shooter? And we're like,
yeah, duh.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Because
then we move forward.
So let me speak to that. Former Prime Minister.
I'm gonna get everybody. Shut the fuck up. Don't speak over me. When you act, right? When you act as though all Palestinians support Hamas, all Palestinians are extremists, but you turn a blind eye. Shut the fuck when I'm talking. Let me finish what I'm saying. When you look at the Israeli government, hold on. No. Well, you just acted as though all Palestinians and all people that support Palestinian liberation.
Nobody said that. Q, you're boxing shadows right now. You're fighting ghosts.
That's what you just did because you're like, yo, when it comes to us, we condemn all people that do extremist acts. We condemn them, but you guys say, what about Israel? These people are
about me and Destiny.
You literally just said this. You can't gaslight me, you stupid.
Q, this is hold on. This is the difference. When America, yeah, you will. Okay, listen. When America does stuff like Abu Ghraib, people are ashamed. They hide it. When it comes out, not only is the entire world looking at the United States, it is crazy. The support in the United States for foreign wars falls off a cliff. Okay, when Hamas abducts, burns, beheads, murders, and rapes people and brings back their villages, the Palestinians there cheer. It's a big difference.
Let me ask you about this.
That's not fair, Steven. I don't like that.
Yeah.
No, I'm you don't like it. It's totally fair. We saw the videos, okay?
No, it's not fair.
No,
it's not fair.
That's not
We
fair.
saw the people outside here. It's inside your word.
No, Steven, it's not fair. It's not fair. It's not fair. And the reason it's not fair.
Stop.
The reason it's not. Okay, go for it.
Stop. You could also see the videos of the Israelis celebrating the deaths of innocent civilians in Gaza. You could see those videos too, but you don't talk about that.
I'm sorry, wait, which ones? Wait, which videos?
The government is leaning extremely far right.
Karantos, which videos?
Karantos. People are pro-fucking
you just make shit up. Okay, yeah, there you go.
How am I making shit up? Wait, how am I making shit up?
It's not fair.
Where
did you see the head of security in Israel fucking armored settlers in the West Bank, or did I make that up?
I'm asking you, where are the videos?
Did I just make that up?
Oh, okay. So.
Did I make that up?
Karantos, Q.
Why are you talking to me, pussy?
Q.
He's
I wanna-
dodging
okay,
it. He's
I've heard-
dodging it. He's
Q, I'm
dodging
gonna
it.
try-
Wait,
I'm gonna try really-
I'm not.
Q.
Hold on, Loner. I'm not letting it go. I'm being autistic about this. Destiny, did you not see the video of the head of defense, Israeli defense, Ben Gibber, arming settlers in the West Bank to forcibly take fucking land from Palestinians? Did you not see that? Yes or no?
To take
I
land?
haven't
What are you
seen it,
talking
but
about?
the
To defend
videos that you're
themselves?
talking about, they're not the same thing as what I was just talking about.
What were you talking about?
I was talking about murdered civilians being trucked back to towns where everybody is cheering and celebrating and then spitting on the body of murdered civilians. If people in Israel are doing that, maybe if they are, man, that would be really but you know what? If I saw it, I'd say, that is insanely up. I would super condemn that video. Do videos like that exist?
Are we claiming that the situation of the people in Gaza is equivalent to the situation of the people in Israel? Yes or no? I just
There
want
you
to know.
go. No, we're not. I never claimed that.
It's an absolute.
point that
It's a valid point. It's a valid point. No,
Okay.
he's the one who makes
point
false
that I don't
equivalency.
like about
The
that
actions
But
of
here, wait, no,
Israelis
Q. Then we agree,
are
Q. Then we agree,
respect-
Q. Then we agree. The Palestinian people celebrate the murder of civilians. They love it, but they've got a good reason to. That's fine. That's your argument. I can hear that. Okay.
Israelis celebrate the murder of innocent Palestinians too, but you ignore that fact. You ignore the fact that they select extreme far-right people into their government, people that are pro-exterminating Palestinians, but you ignore that as well.
If Israel's so
Loner, go ahead.
pro-exterminating, Palestinians, why don't they just kill a whole bunch more? Why are the death tolls so shitty on the Israeli side?
Wait, hold on. Weren't you the same person that was questioning the death tolls anyways? You're like, wait, 3,000, 4,000? Oh, no way that is true.
I never said I was questioning death tolls. I said I was questioning when all of them are called civilians. But I'm asking you, let's say Israel just wants to murder Palestinians. Why don't
Okay.
Oh,
Wait,
you
let
don't
me
have an
ask
answer
you
for
this.
that?
Let me ask
Oh,
you this.
gotcha. Okay.
No.
You're not
Wait,
gonna answer this.
Wait, do you have an answer to my question then? So when we see 4,000 deaths, are you saying they're all Hamas? Do you think they're majority Hamas?
I'm not saying they're all Hamas. I never said they're all Hamas, but I said definitely they're not all civilians. Okay.
Okay, then give me a split, in your opinion, right? In your educated opinion, since you know so much about this conflict, right? How much would you say is civilians versus terrorists?
I can't possibly know the answer
It's
to
an
that.
ongoing conflict. How
Just
could
to
you
give a
possibly
context
answer that?
number, on the named and identified bodies by the Ministry of Health in Gaza, only 1 in 5,
Hamas.
20%,
Wait, hold up.
are military.
You just named Hamas.
Hey,
Your
let me
source is
finish.
Hamas.
Military-aged men. Okay, men 18 to
source is
35.
Hamas.
Only 1 in 5. The overwhelming majority
Fucking left.
are not
That
possible
same-
soldiers.
wait, hold up. That exact same source that you just cited lies
Yes.
about the hospital bombing, right?
I don't know. I don't. There's like a
exact same-
time. There's a timeline reconstruction there that
that is
relates to the
not
translation of the
true.
doctor.
That
I don't
is
fucking know.
literally
But
this month.
what I would
They
point
lied.
to,
That was
if
the
you're interested,
largest conversation that happened. This entire time, in terms of the response of Israel, the largest thing that they pointed to was that specific bombing, and they were lying about it.
Well, that is true.
And now
I
you're
would be
using it as a
careful.
source?
I would wait. While that is true, I'm pretty sure Zelensky himself co-signed that there were Russian missiles that had launched that had landed inside what was it Russian Ukrainian territory, and then we found out later on that they were actually Ukrainian missiles that fell short of a Russian target and bombed their own stuff in Ukrainian territory. And I'm pretty sure Zelensky himself co-signed that message and went public. So I'm not trying to say that we should believe Hamas because I generally don't, but I'm saying they are the only ones that can reliably report deaths in Gaza. Just because they do tell some lies doesn't mean every single thing they
But
say will
that's
be a
not
lie.
true.
Just saying
and
that.
the additional data
That's
I
not
would just
true.
give is that
The
in
answer,
previous
Stephen, that's not
conflicts, the
true.
numbers they've
The-
given
the-
aligned almost entirely with
That's
the
not
UN's
true.
numbers.
Amnesty International, that's not true. Amnesty International and also the IDF will ultimately come out with numbers that are generally considered to be serious and real. That is not something they've done yet, and the reason they've done it
You
yet
can't say
is because it is
Hamas's
not something that
numbers
is
are bullshit and then be like, but IDF's is going to be pretty.
the IDF ones consistently. The
more
IDF
accurate, but
numbers.
it's not like they're gonna be-
IDF.
They
The
don't have an
IDF
incentive to
numbers
bullshit too.
consistently. The IDF numbers consistently. 1, they wait longer, and 2, they line up broadly with UN numbers. So yeah, I think that they are significantly
So does the
more
Ministry of Health.
trustworthy than Hamas.
If that's
the terrorists.
defense
Original question.
That's defense for the IDF
Original-
numbers, and the Hamas numbers are good. So moving back to the Hamas numbers, only 1 in 5
said
are
if you wanna
military-aged men.
put the IDF
Okay?
numbers
Of the
for,
identified
like,
dead,
this
1 in
word.
5 are all military-aged men. That's like the
If you wanna
maximum
throw
number
out-
of militants. And
If
that's
you want to
like,
throw out
it's
the
clearly not that
IDF
high.
numbers and only use Amnesty International, that's fine. We can only use Amnesty International. They haven't come out with numbers yet because they don't know yet, because it's an ongoing conversation. And this whole thing,
I know you're
earlier when we were
being-
condemning
because
the
of the
people for jumping the
I know
gun
your
and
name
saying
is Quibbles,
bullshit,
and you're
this
very
is
on
the
brand
reason.
right now. Right, but so there's a couple of issues here. Number one, we're way off topic, but fuck it. Number two, when you talk about death tolls, when you talk about numbers, when you talk about these things, it is devoid of any context. It is a very kind of sneaky way of talking about this situation, because I agree that there are absolutely better ways for Israel to fight in terms of conducting warfare against Hamas. But you are talking about a group of people who, so for this recent refugee bombing, right? As far as we know, right, Israel could be lying. The former deputy prime minister, when he came out to speak about the recent refugee camp bombing, could be totally lying. But according to Israel, they made telephone calls for 2 weeks straight. And then they knocked on the roof a half hour before the bombing, right? And they were telling people over and over and over again, you have to leave this area. There is a facility at the bottom of this building that is Hamas, and we are targeting a specific commander. Leave the building. They give them 2 weeks, and then they knock on the roof a half hour later, right? And then they blow up the building. And what happens when they blow up the building? As according to Hamas, right? According to Hamas, over 50 people, last I checked right before the stream, so I mean the death toll could have increased. Over 50 people are dead so that Israel could kill a couple of Hamas people and a specific commander. And so when you talk about like, well, look at the death numbers, and you don't talk about the fact that Hamas says it's psychological warfare, Israel's lying, you have to stay here, you have to be our human shield, they won't bomb this building so long as you're here, they're just making up things to scare you, they're not even going to blow up the building anyways. And Israel does everything they can to evacuate these people, and then 50, 60 people die. Yeah, the numbers are going to be different when this is a pattern that occurs in this area. There are plenty of things we can talk about doing warfare better, but again, you know, SEL, I've already tripped you up on this multiple times, which is your only solution is to do nothing and to just let Hamas have power.
So just sticking on the death numbers, right? Like the even the rate of civilian casualties by like Hamas's incursion so far from the ID bodies was 1/3 military. Israel's bombing is so fucking bad at targeting militants that's at best 1/5. So Israel is performing worse on a kill for kill basis than fucking Hamas.
Wait. Can we hold on? Wait. I've never. Wait. I just want. Wait. Hold on. I want to hear this. I want to hear the answers because I've never ever heard somebody actually respond to sports. So I'm actually genuinely super curious. Okay. Everyone in here agrees that Hamas intentionally operates outside of civilian infrastructure, right? Is Israel just never supposed to counterattack Hamas if they constantly and consistently operate out of civilian infrastructure, or what is the solution there?
Do it in a way that
I'm curious.
I think Loner's giving a better one.
Why is every pro-Israeli person talking? Let us DL talk. Yeah, let us DL talk. I want to hear the answers. I'm super curious about the answer to that.
I want to give it to Loner because he's given a better one before, but
okay, Loner can answer too. I don't care either one. Yeah, I want to hear the response. I'm curious what the response is.
Yeah, what was my answer to that before?
I could have sworn we had this debate like a week ago. Whatever.
No, wait. I'll own the position. Like, yeah, if and this is the case in international law as well. If civilian infrastructure is being used for military purposes, it ceases to be civilian infrastructure in the eyes of international law. So, like, if there's like rocket, like to the point that Hamas will like literally commandeer people's houses to use their rooftops as military bases, like temporarily. So.
Okay. Wait, hold on.
Yeah,
Loner,
I don't have an answer for what Israel should do.
Loner, let me ask you a couple of questions.
Well, I have an answer.
Yeah, wait. Quibbles, 1 second. Quibbles, 1 second. Quibbles, 1 second. Just for you, Loner. Apologies, Quibbles. I'm really curious because we had a conversation about this, right? So when you say it ceases to be civilian infrastructure, right? I have a couple of questions for you because you said last time we spoke about this, these people, as in Palestinian civilians, are willingly offering themselves as human shields. They see it as martyrdom. You
Some
said
of them
that.
are. Some of them are, but not all of them. That's not the rule. But we've seen examples of that, yeah.
All right, so are you saying that they're being held there by force then?
It's a dictatorship.
Yeah, well, if they're being commandeered, yeah, the house is being commandeered. That means they're being held there, yeah.
So okay. So let's hold on. Let's build up on this, right? So they're being held there by force, by Hamas, to be used as human shields against Israel. And then Israel looks at that and says, "All right, you're being held there by force. You're pretty much a hostage. We'll still bomb you regardless."
That's why they knock.
Oh my God! Thank you for knocking. Thank you for knocking before you blow me the fuck up even after I hesitate.
What's the alternative?
I'm being held.
Wait, Q. So wait, Q. The answer. Q. We all agree. Q. Wait. Hold on. Wait. Real quick. Okay, hold on. Okay, there's a big waste of time. All of us agree that using civilian shields is bad. We all agree with that. And all of us agree that killing civilians sucks. Okay, but then the question is, and I'll pose it to you, Q, or STL, or Lonerbox. What is the alternative?
The alternative is getting to your targets in a way that doesn't disproportionately kill or harm innocent civilians.
So do
That's
you
how
think?
we're gonna
Wait.
do that.
Okay, I just want to build on that. I want to build on that. Wait. Quick. I just want to build on that. Wait, hold on. No, it's not space race. I just want to build on that. Okay. So Q, then are you co-signing an IDF ground invasion to Gaza? And do you think that would result? And do you think that would result in less civilian deaths than what's happening now?
I 100% believe that first of all, civilian deaths would be inevitable if you do it even in that.
I'll be right back. Somebody tell me if he answers this question, okay?
Wait, I'm answering you, big retard. Okay, don't. He's trying to pull and fuck CC on me. It's not gonna fucking work, right? Anyway,
Live.
The answer is simple.
That's a really nice chair.
The answer is
Sorry,
simple.
go on.
Either ways, right? Either ways, people are
not.
going to die. Either ways, people are gonna fucking die. Shut the fuck up! For a fucking mute, you permanent fucking idiot. Alright, he's back. Wait, let's wait for the retard to put on the headset.
Okay, did he get an
Alright.
Steven, I
answer?
like your chair.
Alright,
still
debuffed Hassan, let me fucking answer you, right? What I was saying is, regardless, you wouldn't escape civilian casualties or civilian deaths, but one would be extremely less compared to the other. So
You
I
think a
wouldn't say
ground invasion would be less
I
civilian
wouldn't
deaths?
say I wouldn't say a fucking ground invasion where you send hundreds of thousands of fucking soldiers.
Then what's the alternative?
I say send specialized.
Like a raid?
And get after your fucking targets.
You send
Right,
you send
that's what I
20 good men from Game of Thrones into Gaza City and try to
raid?
fight that way?
Motorbox,
Instead
you
of
can't do a
fucking
raid.
dropping bombs and killing
300
fucking
miles
50
of
to
tunnels.
1, I'd rather fucking do that.
Bro, the point
You
is that
can't-
they're all
okay, hold
dead.
on,
You're
hold on.
sending them on
We need to-
suicide
Is
mission.
Motorbox said something
They're not
cringe.
getting
I need
anything
to, I need to, I need to
value
insult
Palestinian
Motorbox for his
lives.
cringe.
What?
Motorbox said
real
some
quick,
cringe.
real quick.
You said that
What
they
did I
should
say?
just do
Real quick,
like,
real-
yeah, you said that they should just do individual like individual like attacks on individual locations, right?
Okay, I don't know if you're like autistic, but I said it like it was a question. I asked a raid because it sounded like
Oh,
it
I'm
was
sorry.
a
I'm sorry. No,
let
I'm
me
sorry.
let
I
me
apologize then.
let me clarify a few things, right? So
It's all right.
so the problem is that and Q, and I'm not even trying to be insulting to you. I promise, right? Like
Don't
a lot of
worry, don't
people
worry.
have like
It is
watched.
what it is.
They haven't been in the military, or they don't have a lot of military knowledge, right? Or know a lot of people in it. So a lot of times people's views of the military is made by Hollywood, and or like successful raids by the Navy SEALs. So the first thing we need to understand is that like America's Navy SEALs, Green Berets, Marine Force Recon, like these people are some of the are a very small efficient groups, and they're some of the best in the entire world. And even though IDF has its own SF, they don't fucking compare. Now, Israeli intelligence is okay, right? Israeli intelligence is pretty good compared to U.S. intelligence, or at least what we know. But here's the problem with that concept: is there's really only two ways to do a non-ground invasion where you raid specific areas. So option A is something like Mogadishu in 1993, and we saw how successful that was, which is not fucking at all. Right?
Yeah, we killed you.
You know, trying to do several raids in an area, and trying to go door to door, going through